Well, Dr. Stan, welcome once again to Live on Cyber, where we get to sit down and talk about the funny, the scary, the terrifying, but also breaking out of just the mundane, dare I say, of cybersecurity. So, ready to rock the boat with me today?
Ready to rock and roll, Julie. Yep.
Excellent. So, Dr. Stan, what is on your mind in the world of
Uh,
cybersecurity today?
I've been reflecting on a book I read. Good gods, it goes back 26 years. Brilliant man, Francis Fukuyama, has historian and all, wrote a book called Trust: The Social Virtues and the Creation of Prosperity. I mean, these things are linked. I had the pleasure of meeting him actually at a conference back in the late
Mm.
90s in Boston. Actually drove in a taxi cab to Logan Airport with him. As I say, brilliant. The description of the book, and we'll get, you'll see why it's important, like fundamentally important in a moment as I read. This is from the description in
Hmm.
Amazon. Trust: The Social Virtues, Creation of Prosperity. Insisting that we cannot divorce economic life from cultural life, he contends, Fukuyama, that in an era when social capital may be as important as physical capital, who we know, how we know each other, social capital, all of those kinds of things, only those societies with a high degree of social trust will be able to create the flexible, large-scale business organizations. I changed that to today to environments, but that's okay, that are needed to compete in the new global economy. Only those societies with a high degree of social trust. And I read this because, I mean, I think a lot about politics and about the
Yeah.
challenges we face here in America
Yes.
because of the dissolution of social trust, if
Oh,
you will.
indeed.
I hold that really, like, how do we recover from that? And then I see this, and then I think, good gods, Julie, what are we doing in cybersecurity?
Mhm.
We're saying to people, if you get an email with a link on it, don't trust it.
Yes.
If you're buying a house and you get instructions from the equity firm company, here's where to, make your down payment. Don't trust it. Call them up, talk to them. So that we're contributing to this breakdown of trust. And it was like, oh my God, what do we got to do? So that's what I want to talk about today.
So you're right. You're absolutely right. And I'm doing the best that I can do and be. I'm holding in tension something. I'm holding in balance. A friend of mine gave me a great hold in tension example. And she said, I can't fathom what in the world is happening at Twitter right now that Elon Musk is doing at Twitter, but I also own a Tesla. Does that mean I want to get rid of my Tesla because I don't know what's happening at Twitter? No, I
Hmm.
have to hold in tension all
Hmm.
of these things at the same time. So
Yeah.
I think holding intention, you're saying don't trust, verify, but then also trust is a critical piece of our currency.
Yeah. And it's like we are necessarily being
Mhm.
pushed into a situation because of cybercrime
Mhm.
and because of the weaknesses in our technology. I mean, ultimately, it goes back to things like that, and we can explore that, maybe,
Yeah.
uh, because the technology really is weak. It's that we're forced into this position
Mhm.
of not trusting
Yeah.
at the same moment in history. The same moment in history requires that we learn to trust. I mean, think about, let's go down the COVID rat hole, right?
Right.
Uh, just people are dying. Significant numbers of people are dying
Yeah.
because of this lack of trust that we have. Look at what's going on in Congress.
Yeah.
And again, it just doesn't matter which side you're on. We've all got to agree. This is a crisis point where we don't trust each other.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the House, started all these committees. One of whom, something important to talk about, which is there's agreement to have a committee to investigate China's influence on us, on our economy, including all
Yes.
of their hacking, and that's a good thing. And that's an
Yes.
illustration of what can happen when cooperation and trust exist.
Yes.
But then look at all the things that aren't happening because of that lack of trust. And we here in the cybersecurity industry, as I'm saying, we're throwing our own measure of distrust into all of this. How crazy is that?
Is it though? I mean, well, I'll say this. We can't back away from these uncomfortable topics.
Mhm.
When we do back away is when we abandon the discussion and to be a good citizen, to be a good statesman,
Yeah.
right? It's like that's what we expect our statesmen and our politicians to do is to move past the politics into being a good leader, into being the statesman and not relying on division.
Yeah.
And so we have to kind of do the same. So we're saying But I think to your point exactly, we're talking about it. And I
Mhm.
think that discussion and that
Yeah,
leaning into the topic is so critical. So,
yeah.
where do we go now?
Well, first, I think just to acknowledge what you said when you said holding both intents. Yeah, that we have got to recognize, and privacy is a good illustration of
Mhm.
this. That yeah, at the same time as we have to make sure that our privacy is protected,
Yeah.
there is good value we gain by giving up some of that privacy. I mean, I'm a big user of. It doesn't matter which music site I would name, but I'm a big user of one of them. And I like the fact that I can push a button and say, "Yeah, play more like songs like this." I mean,
Yes.
that's I'm saying something about me. It gets to the right measures, the right controls, the right transparencies, and
Absolutely.
so on. Privacy by design. Um,
Yeah.
so it's holding both of those things together
Agreed.
as
Agreed.
a piece of it. But that's in the individual. And how does society come together around organizing and adjudicating
Yes.
and sorting out all of these things? And it starts by measures of trust. I go to a quote. So the chief of staff of CISA, Cybersecurity
Mm.
Infrastructure
Mhm.
Security Agency, Kirsten Todd. Kirsten's former executive director of the Cyber Readiness Institute. Kirsten
Yes.
was in the Obama White House and doing cybersecurity work. There's a quote of hers from a few months ago. I heard her say that people don't trust institutions, people trust people.
Yeah.
And I think that becomes a key piece of it. An email is like an institution in that way.
Yes.
Don't trust it.
Absolutely.
Trust people. Pick up the phone, call. Hey, Julie, I just got instructions to wire money. Please tell me, what to confirm the numbers that this email said. You know,
Yeah.
um, begin this process
Yeah.
of trusting people and
Mhm.
find ways that we can begin to work together to learn to trust each other and all. I mean, things like on our side, nonprofit cyber
Yeah.
as an illustration. I mean, nonprofit cyber is 32 of us, I think, all nonprofits in the cyberspace. A couple of years ago or a year ago, 6 months ago, we knew
Mhm.
each other, maybe ad hoc, whatever. Now we're a working organization and building that kind of trust
Yeah.
those ways. David Brooks, the Weave project at the Aspen Institute,
Yes. Love that
building
project.
communities. You love that. I love that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think these are the ways we have to do. We have to find ways to work together. And again, here in Secure the Village, uh,
Mhm.
our workforce coalition, we do that. All of our outreach, it's designed in that way to encourage trust, engender trust. And so we got two events coming up here in January to kind of illustrate our way of trying to just bring people together for trust. In the first of those, it's Tuesday the 24th. Uh,
Mhm.
it's like 2:30 Pacific time. You can find it more on the Secure the Village website. But we're doing an event with the Harvard Club of Chicago, which is
Mhm.
like, wow, that's cool. I'm facilitating it. We've got members and alums of Harvard, and as a true blue University of Michigan alum, it's a real pleasure to be working with others of the same ilk, Michigan, Harvard, and so on. Uh, so we're going to talk about cybersecurity
Mm.
and privacy, and what it really is. I mean, technology is moving fast. Illinois has a new biometrics law. It's just one illustration that says if you're a business and you're collecting biometric information, eyeballs, fingerprints,
Mhm.
whatever, handprints, you've got to alert people that you're doing that, taking,
Wow.
whatever of them, and it's causing some challenges because there have been several lawsuits and so on around it. And
Mm.
we're going to continue to push technology, whether it's
Yes.
biometrics, whether it's cybersecurity. Uh, we're an impatient species. If we can imagine it, we want to build it, and if
Yes.
certainly if there's money to be made and value to be provided, the economy certainly pushes in that direction as well. So how do we help people get in front of this moving train? Which again,
Yes.
it's how do we better learn to live with and therefore trust our technology? How do we build it? How do we build trust into it? I mean, there's security by design and privacy by design. Maybe think about what does trust by design mean?
Mm.
I don't even know. I
Yes.
just, as we're talking, that came into my consciousness. So, what's trust by design? So that's the 24th. The 26th is another trust issue. We got
Yes.
big business. We got the political parties and their political action groups, governments. Everybody's collecting information all about us. And it's not transparent. We don't know what's being collected. We don't know how it's being used except when it bubbles up and hits the press, like Facebook and, in the 2016 election, uh, you know, with what they did selling that information, blah, blah, blah. What's going on? So we've got a webinar put together. Again, Alexa McCullough, who's great. She's done others of ours before. We'll be facilitating it. And among the speakers, we've got a privacy attorney. I mean, real down, works in the trenches, day in, day out in privacy, along with two people, one from the Electronic Frontier
Mhm.
Foundation and the other from the American Civil Liberties Union, who are, national experts in everything that's going on and how we got to deal with it. So that's going to be an eye opener. Uh, Trying to make what is very opaque and not transparent, because again, how do you build trust? Well, let me show you the innards. Let me show you what's really going on here, so you see it and you understand it. We know what's being collected. We know how it's being used, and
Mhm.
we can agree and move on. There's
It's
no
one of the
trust. That's right.
reasons we see if an email comes out from an organization and we find out that 2 years ago there was a hack, there's
Yeah,
no more trust there. You can't rebuild
that's right.
that.
Oh,
You have to just be
mhm,
true to your integrity, to be a good citizen as a company too.
mhm,
Because once that
mhm.
trust is lost, it is difficult to rebuild.
Yep,
Yep.
and do we have time for me to give a story on that that's
I would love to hear a
as
story.
live as live as today is, which is the breach of LastPass. They announced it last August. They just announced, at end of last year, how really significant that is. And I'm in the process right now, as we speak, of writing an email to our clients as to how to manage that, recommendations for managing that. And piece of it is one can argue significantly that LastPass failed to be transparent.
Utterly. As a
And that's
user,
it. Yeah,
I'm pissed.
yeah, yeah. Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I don't use LastPass, so, personally, so I can't move to something else. Uh,
Um
but certainly if I did, I would.
Oh, I'm so pissed, Stan, because, the way that their language comes out on their sales page, on their website,
Mhm,
they their integrity here was not
mhm,
okay. They've
mhm,
said in so many different ways, "As
mhm.
long as you have a master password, you are completely safe and protected because we don't keep track of anything that happens in your vault."
I know, but
And they
that's
if
misleading.
it's utterly misleading, and so
Because
if
if
I
you
am yeah, like,
if
I'm
you're mass
super
yeah.
techy.
Yeah, and what was it Fukuyama? Only those societies with a high degree of social trust will be able to create the flexible, large-scale business organizations that are needed to compete in the new global economy. Take that from the society level to the
Mm,
business level. So if you're a business
yeah.
and you're not a part of that building of social trust,
Oh, yeah.
you will be left out
Yes.
as the rest of we the people build large scale business organizations able to compete and to compete well in the new global economy, giving jobs for all of our people, not just the ones that already have jobs, but in
Oh, yeah.
marginalized communities, in our rural communities. You know my soapbox on this. This is we got to work together here, and the opportunities to work together are great, but
Yes, they are.
it starts with trust.
It has to start with
Yeah,
trust,
yeah.
which is hard to rebuild. And I will not talk about LastPass again on this because I could just go off for about an hour, Stan. I'm so disillusioned. But
Yeah.
what I'm not disillusioned on is this idea that within community, we will grow together and we will build together. And
Mhm.
this is where it all begins.
Yeah,
Is
that's right.
coming together here at Secure the Village. So, if you are interested in any of these topics that we brought up today, and you're
Mhm.
not currently engaged with us, we want you to be. So please visit our website. Make sure that at very minimum you sign up for the newsletter. Stan puts a ton of work and effort into making your insights around cybersecurity gathered together in a weekly digest that you will not want to miss. So please sign up for that and learn how you can dive in and volunteer and serve with us, because this is going to take you as part of the village to really make a difference and secure us all. So have a wonderful day. We will see you same time next week here on Live on Cyber.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you, Dr. Stan.